So most of our brothers, the African American, those in the US, those in the UK, those in the Asian countries, are starting to come back to Africa. And me being a Ugandan, I decided to hook up with my friend, one of those people that I believe is more exposed in terms of investments in Uganda. And therefore, this particular video will be sharing with you the possibilities of different sectors of this country where you can invest in when you want to come and settle in Uganda or in Africa at large. As an African American, wherever you're coming from, you're most definitely welcome. My name is Dennis Duke Onyala, and thank you so much for passing by on my YouTube channel. Just in case you want to talk to me directly and privately, go to my Instagram page at Dennis Duke UG. You're welcome to my show.
Thank you, Dennis.
The guest tonight or today is Mr. William. He also operates a YouTube channel called Liam Media, and he does quite a handful of things ranging from, business, ideas, among many others. You're welcome.
Thank you so much, Dennis.
How are you today?
Very well, thank you.
How do you feel that you're being hosted on my channel?
It's a pleasure. I'm humbled. You're one of the biggest YouTubers in Uganda, and we are learning so much from you.
Okay, Let's go to the topic today. Our African American brothers are coming in Uganda.
True.
Which sectors would you advise them to venture into if at all they want to make some investments here?
There are a couple of three major sectors that they should give attention to. However, they should be really open-minded so that they assimilate in the community. They shouldn't rush into any decisions. Number one is IT, stepping up things in the transportation sector. Number two is agriculture, but then it should be a serious investment. Number three is real estate. Yeah, probably we shall break those down as we go along.
So let's start from the IT sector. What exactly should they invest in when it comes to IT?
So in IT, we have several successful stories like Safe Border. We've seen the Safe Border story. It's been around, and we clearly know that some of the investors in Safe Border are actually they're not blacks. But however, the individual that is behind Safe Border, I think it's called Richard Thompson. Richard, we'll put the name just right there. He's the one that was able to go around and share the experience about challenges in the Safe Border. In the Safe Border, I'm talking about the motorcycle sort of business. Yeah. So the experiences that we have as Africans here, we are able to elaborate them to an investor who is coming from the diaspora, and probably they have the knowledge and the capacity to either make probably a platform that can make things more accessible, and the transportation sector to be as smooth as any other place in the world. So getting back to Safe Border, I would say that if somebody came to Uganda and they really wanted to invest in IT, for starters, they would need to look for the developers in Uganda, where they are. We have co-working spaces. We have one called Hive Collab. There's another one called Outbox. When you get into these spaces, these individuals, they will explain to you the things that they've been trying out. So you would not have to reinvent the wheel. They will explain to you what has worked and what has failed. So they have all sorts of prototypes of things that have worked, and some of their challenges are really about launching out the products that they've tested. Yeah. Then they will probably also expose you to their social circles and other communities. I would probably give an example like Rotary, whereby you can go and have a conversation with such people and introduce yourself and also explain something that you've come up with.
Okay.
Yeah.
So do you see, because I'm looking at a sector where somebody invests and actually there are returns.
Absolutely, there are returns. However, we all know that if it's IT, it could take a while, because probably I would say that smartphone penetration is not as deep as it is in Europe or in the US, but it's growing, yes. So, however, if you understand the dynamics of our ecosystem, all of our community, you would know that we have mobile money. There's Airtel money, there's MTN mobile money. So payments are really happening on those platforms. So you need to come and know that it could take you a while if it is IT. I really understand that somebody could come from the diaspora and their inclination towards IT is high as compared to other sectors, say agriculture or real estate. So if you're the type of IT individual, you would know that you'd have to be patient, and you'd have to do some collaborations with other existing individuals in the sector.
Okay.
Yes.
Let's now talk about the other sectors that you mentioned earlier. I think let's go straight into the agriculture sector. Uganda as a country, our biggest backbone to the economy is agriculture. So does that mean that it presents an opportunity for a black or an African American to invest in Uganda?
Absolutely. Agriculture presents a huge opportunity. Starters, we have places that are vacant in the sense that they're arable, but then the individuals on those particular plots of land are not utilizing them effectively. So if you speak to those communities, you can actually have a working arrangement whereby the community itself, probably you've bought land or you've leased land from them, then you carry out agriculture, and these individuals can be the laborers. They can do the whole taking care of the land. If it is security, because it's a partnership, they co-own the investment that you've begun in that particular location. So like we've said, the opportunities are immense, but then one important thing that people should probably consider is value addition. When you get your produce from the gardens, you should ensure that you do something about value addition, so that something is not taken to the market just the same way. It should be different in the sense that probably if it needs to be packaged, consider packaging. Make sure that the branding is good. And I believe that Africans in the diaspora, they know how to do some of these things, or they've created relationships with individuals who can help them with designing, printing, and probably branding materials. So value addition is very important. However, for instance, sometimes there could be a surplus of produce. So you need to come with the mindset of how am I going to add value on the produce itself. You don't want the matoke to go to waste, that is plantain. You don't want pineapples to go to waste. Some of it can be dried and packaged and exported. So that's the value addition situation that I think Africans in the diaspora should seriously consider, because here we have people that don't seem to have the skill, but they're willing to learn. However, they would need somebody to support in that angle of learning, and then there has to be an investment made, because some of those tools need some bit of money. Yeah. So another thing still around agriculture, Uganda is pushing something called Bubu, that is Buy Uganda, Build Uganda. So you really stand a very good opportunity if you came with a willingness to understand the environment, the community, and then you tap into the Buy Uganda, Build Uganda, because we want to reduce on the imports that come into the country, and then improve on the exports.
Okay.
Yeah.
But also we want, before we leave the agriculture sector, I also want to mention that first of all we have reliable climate.
Absolutely.
In Uganda. We have two seasons, the dry and the wet season. And another important aspect to mention is we have the labor. There's redundant labor. We have land, availability of land. We have availability of water. Meaning when you invest in Uganda, you're sure of those. Absolutely. But at least even the market.
And we have a freshwater lake. So, for instance, if your investment is close to the lake, it means that access to water won't be that expensive. So, but given the weather situation or the climate, if I could put it that way, we have the wet and dry season. So you can't be caught off guard. It's very difficult to be caught off guard unless otherwise, like they say, an act of God. But it's not really common.
Okay.
And then
talk of the roads, because somebody would think after my produce have gotten ready, they need to be transported.
Yeah, our road network is okay. It's not what it used to be back then. So transportation is not a problem. The trucks are always available, and you can always have a conversation with truck drivers on how payments will happen. So because everybody wants to make some money, payments can happen probably in the near future, you can have an arrangement of sorts. So the the road network is not a problem, and obviously we have people that are also living on the islands, Sekalangal Islands. If there's something that you'd want to ferry by boat, all using a ferry itself, we have a ferry, so transportation is really not a problem anymore.
And also, just on record, we have a good power system. Actually, there is excessive power.
Yeah, true.
So as we wind up, let's talk about this third element, the third sector, the real estate business, where everybody seems to be interested in. Should somebody that is coming to settle in Uganda, look at investing in the real estate?
Real estate is a fantastic opportunity for somebody to consider. However, when you're coming in the Ugandan market, I think you'd rather have to start with buying, say, old houses, refurbishing them, getting them, cleaning them up, and reselling them. Then you could also buy shells. A shell is an incomplete house. There are people that build their houses up to a certain level, like they've put the roof and they're willing to sell it off. So when you do all the finishing and everything, then you can put that kind of house onto the market. But if you have enough money, obviously you can dive straight into real estate.
What is enough money?
You could probably start with 200,000 US dollars. It is that is about 1 billion Ugandan shillings. You're good to go. However, you need to tread carefully, because you wouldn't want to buy land that has encumbrances. That can really be very fatal. So you need to tread carefully. You need to speak to the right individuals. You need to take your time. You have to be very careful not to go in for too good to be true deals, in that sense. So you'll never go wrong with real estate, but you have to be patient, and then you need to look out for those places where people are most likely going to be willing to move into. You shouldn't go very far off outside Kampala. The places will probably be Mukono, Gayaza. Entebbe is really a bit expensive. Namugongo. Those are really good places for you to consider if you want to do real estate. But it's a perfect opportunity for people to consider, especially if you want to relocate to Uganda. Uganda is an amazing place. When people come to Uganda, they just don't want to leave. Many of them want to have a house here, to build a home. So please consider the things that we've talked about.
Well, there you are. Now you know what to do once you come and want to settle in Uganda. Those are some of the areas that Mr. William does, recommend you do your investment into. Mr. William has a YouTube channel called Liam Media. Liam Media, that channel you're seeing. So go to his channel as well, subscribe, and get to understand some of the things at length. So today we've just had like 13 or 14 minutes with him. But we'll keep having him to, give us more insights on what sort of businesses, depending on the trends, that somebody could actually invest in.
You could actually put Liam Media Uganda. Because if you don't put Uganda, then it will go all over the place. But when you put Uganda, you'll have narrowed down your search.
No problem. Don't worry. Don't hassle a lot. I'll put the link to his channel so that you can reach him a little faster. My name is Dennis Duke Oniala. Follow me on Instagram just in case you need a tour guide when you're in Uganda or when you want to have a chat with me. Write to me or at dukesmedia12@gmail.com, or hit me up on Instagram at Dennis Duke UG. Until then, it's a goodbye from us.
Bye-bye. Peace.